Welcome, everyone. You are about to embark on a journey through the universe as you indulge in this extraordinary essence of enlightened, empowered, evolved. Let the show begin in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Greetings, everyone. I'm Luke Bryan Smith, and welcome to Enlightened, Empowered, Evolved, where we educate, motivate, and liberate you through enlightening dialogues, empowering music, and evolving content. Yes, I know everyone's doing well, and everything is unfolding perfectly, as always. I'm excited yet again because I have another amazing guest who is an emotional wellness coach and specializes in holistically helping people achieve harmony, inner harmony, and peace of mind, along with a whole lot more. And we'll find out what more. But without further ado, I introduce to you Tina George. How are you doing today, Tina?
I am doing amazing. Thank you for asking. Thank you, thank you, thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Yes, yes, and I'm so thankful to have you here, and I want to extend my sincerest gratitude once again because I'm a firm believer that time is one of our most precious assets, and for you to spend some of your time here with me in the history of your timeline of your life on Enlightened, Empowered, Evolved, I have to say thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well, I'm very honored. Thank you as well. Thank you for having me. This is a
Yes,
privilege, so I'm very honored to be here.
yes, yes. So let's just get right into it. Emotional wellness coach, right?
Yes,
Give us a
yes.
little framework behind that and some of your own authentic perspective in regards to what that means and what that entails and how did that unfold? I know it's a lot of questions in one, but get excited. Yeah, how did you get into that? To give us a little uh, a backstory and what does that all entail?
Absolutely. So, backstory. It's always good to start with that. I came from a very small town. I'm from North Carolina. So I grew up in a really small town, rural area, and where everything was, kind of like it was a good life, but it was
Right,
a very slow life.
right.
So where I grew up, there was a military town, and I fell in love. So I thought, got married, moved away to the city, and unfortunately, that ended up in a divorce.
Wow.
So I ended up divorced, and some time passed by, I got remarried and had my second divorce. And so at some point I was trying to figure out, why was I the common denominator, with divorce. More time passed by, lots and lots and lots of time. And during that time I realized that I needed to do some healing.
Hmm.
There's journeys along the way, things that you go through, trial and error. And even in that, I found out that I wasn't quite at a place where I was completely healed.
Mm.
And so I continued to take this journey of self-discovery along the way.
Wow.
Didn't quite know that I was on a journey, to be honest with you, because of course of all the hiccups and the trials and the errors. But there came this place where I became so hurt and so disappointed that I was at a place where I said I just couldn't go any further
Wow.
with that type of hurt, if you will. And so I had to really dig really, really deep in myself, start facing some truths, and accept some accountability for lots of things. And that is where the emotional wellness became started happening for me.
Let me hit a pause button right there. And this is
Yeah,
no, and I don't mean to disrupt your flow, but I
no,
just want to elaborate on a few things as before you continue that are absolutely amazing in my perspective. First of all, getting to the point where you ask yourself a question, that's growth, the question of you being the common denominator. And that resonates with me so much. And I know this is not about me, but just to let you know that I am on the same um, wavelength as you is I got to a point in my life where things were just unfolding in ways that I really didn't like. And
Mhm.
I used to blame and point and but the common denominator, like you mentioned, is me. So
Yeah,
I think I want to encourage people to get to that point if they feel like if they if things seem like they're not unfolding right, relationship wise, whatever, uh, health, emotional, just the way you feel. Because to me, in my perspective, life is about finding that inner peace and that happiness. And if you're not feeling that, dig deep. And another thing that you said that really should be highlighted is looking within. That's we always look for like I don't want to say always because I can't speak for everyone, but
Right,
in my perspective, even in my own experiences, we look for outside things that are the causes and that make us unhappy. And we have to reverse that. And I will never get tired from this point on in my life of highlighting how we have to look within and everything extends from in here. So that means no matter what you go through, no matter what adversities may befall you, you are better equipped to flow through it and still maintain your harmony and balance. It might be shaken or you might fall, but you'll dust yourself off and get back up. But I just wanted to highlight those that you started self-reflecting. And that's what I know that needs to be incorporated in our lives, if not daily, is
yes,
self-reflection. And it's not to the point of belittling yourself or looking at yourself that you're not good enough, but just
no,
analyzing things, especially if they're not going the way that you we all have a radar field that they should go. And even tangible physical things like you said,
yeah,
marriages, it's not going the way you want. So analyze more
right,
than just the faults of that other person because you're stuck, especially after a divorce. You're not stuck living with them anymore. You're stuck with you. So
right. Yeah,
amazing.
you're absolutely
Keep going. I
correct.
hope I didn't disrupt you and take you
No,
off
you
your
didn't,
game.
but no, you brought up some really great points because you're right. It's easy. It's really easy for us to find a scapegoat, right? Because we don't want to accept accountability. So it's
Right.
easy for us to blame the fault on someone else.
Right.
It's all their fault because they didn't do something or they did do something, or they did too much of something. But it's when we reflect and do that inner, looking within ourselves and say, okay, well, but why am I allowing those things to happen? Or why did I think that that was okay? Or like you said, that radar that we have, because if I'm going to be completely transparent here, I mean, completely transparent, I knew that I shouldn't have gotten married both times. There was something in me. Yeah. Yeah. There
Yes.
was something in me that knew, hey, you know what, Tina, maybe this is not the best idea. But, I
Yes.
think we sometimes allow the outside to guide us instead of listening to our gut
Yes.
because of, what society deems as, well, I don't know. I'll just say, for example, this is not the best example, but being married by a certain age or you've
Right.
been with a person for X amount of time and all those things that go along with that. So
Well,
meeting society standards, but then you're putting yourself in a position where it's not good for you, but you do it anyway. And so
right.
in my
I've been
case,
there.
yeah, I ended up
Been
in a
there.
divorce. Yeah, that type of thing. So
And
yeah, that radar is there for sure.
yeah, and as well as not only the society, and you just sparked this into me again, not to disrupt you, but you're speaking
No.
to me because I've been through a divorce as well. Um, Also getting it and from my perspective, getting into relationships when you're trying to fill some type of void, like
Yes.
loneliness, or you just maybe a self-esteem issue, or maybe some trauma. I mean, there's all kind of things that can come into play that you could end up somewhere where your intuition, your call it whatever you want, God, Holy Spirit, whatever, tells
Whatever.
you
Mm-hmm.
that something is wrong. There is a
Not
red
right.
flag, and then we blow through the stop sign. And
And we
then
ignore
all
it.
we're doing is prolonging what's inevitable.
Exactly. Exactly. And that is what has happened. And that's, I was on a show a few weeks ago and one of the panels asked me a question. And I had never heard this phrase before, but it really resonated with me. And he said, essentially shared the same story. And he said, well, do you think at any point when you thought you were healing, was there some fake healing going on? And I was like, wow. Fake
Mm,
healing.
fake healing.
Fake healing.
Never
Yeah,
heard
that
that term.
really resonated with me. I had neither, but it made sense, because we say, oh, if I take some time to be alone, if I'm by myself,
Right.
I kind of, correlate that to fake healing because we think because we're by ourselves and we're not spending time with another person that we're healing. But if we haven't done the inner work, it's fake healing because if we haven't found out the root of the problem, why do we do the things that we do? Why are we not maybe setting healthy boundaries?
Yeah.
Why are we allowing ourselves to be in these types of relationships? To me, that contributes to the fake healing. So again, once
Yes.
we start answering those questions and sitting ourselves down, and as you mentioned, this isn't beating ourselves up. I
Right.
think people feel like, oh, we're sort of chastising ourselves. I think it's quite the opposite. I think what we're doing is we're embracing ourselves and loving ourselves, like we do with our kids. If we let our kids run rampant, then they become adults who sort of are a little bit out of control. But if we sort of have some sort of discipline in place, you know,
Right.
we plant that in them and then they become adults, not all the time, but you get the gist of where I'm going with this, who
Absolutely.
have some structure in their lives. And so again, we can do the same thing for ourselves as well. So that really resonated with me with the fake healing. And I was like, wow, I never thought about that because there was a period of time when I was, divorced, had been essentially by myself for a really extended period of time
Right.
and as far as I was concerned, I was healed. I was
Right.
healthy.
Right. Right. Thank you for sharing that concept, that saying, that slogan, fake healing, because I'm going to
Yeah,
remember that because that does make a lot of sense, and especially if we've studied things or heard things that we should do that are part of healing or growing. We're just going through the motions, but we're really not healing. That
we're
is
really
fake
not.
healing. We think
It
just because we're
is.
reading a book that we're educating ourselves. No, are you grasping the concepts of that book? Are you getting some from it? Not just the fact that you're holding it, looking at the words. That's the same
Right,
thing with just like being alone. Are you really doing some self-reflection? What are you doing? What are you changing your mindset? I mean, what part of me, and this is me, what I do still, but
right,
especially at that point in life after divorce and kids, it was a messy situation, but what part of me is attracting this type of thing and entertaining these type of people, because then I got a good look and I'm not criticizing because there's things about me that still need to be worked on. So I'm not, but you look at certain people that you've invited into your life, and then when you get a chance to get a vantage point and look, and you're like, what the heck was I thinking? Like, not
yeah.
that I hate the person, but what was I thinking? There's nothing
Where
there.
was I?
Yeah,
Exactly.
there's nothing there. What I had to be in a messed up state to even to entertain that, because that we're not on the same wavelength, and oftentimes we tolerate things, and that will lead to nowhere as well.
Nowhere fast.
tolerating
Yeah,
tolerating oh, they just do this, I can deal with that. No, no, you not saying that we have to get to a point where every single thing, because it is a such thing as compromise, but whether you're aligned with someone. That inner compass, like you said, will give you red flags the more you spend time with people, and you'll know whether it's something that you can deal with, or just this is something that's just not okay. and
absolutely.
and whether you're with a person that is um, open to work on things and grow together and compromise with each other and communicate. That some things have to be put in place, or some things maybe can be developed, but that too, whether
Right.
person is able to be developed or able to grow with me or not. So,
Yeah,
and
I
that's a
think no matter
scary
where we
feeling too.
are.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, just piggybacking off of what you said, I think no matter where we are in that relationship, there is something innate in us that recognizes that, and we
Right.
pick up on it, and we have a choice to
Right.
move on and to sort of go through the stages of it and just kind of go along with it, or make the really brave decision to say enough is enough and to,
Yes.
pump the brakes. And I think that's what happens is that people find it sometimes easier in the beginning to kind of coast along until you can't coast anymore and
And
until you're
no,
completely miserable, you're unhappy. There's nothing you can do to pacify the situation anymore. And then it becomes this big mess, essentially.
yes,
So,
yes.
yeah,
So
so,
again,
oh,
oh
go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, I was going to say. So again, uh, yes, amazing um, context and what you were talking about. So this led you into wanting to uh, engage in being an emotional wellness coach. How
Yeah.
how did you how did you kind of slide into that?
Well, so to finish to sort of bring that to to kind of finish that whole thing out, I waited, as I mentioned, I made it like a really really long time, and then I decided to be brave enough to venture out to get into a relationship,
Okay,
and it was a very healthy relationship.
right,
However, somewhere along the way, because of some things, again, taking accountability that I had not become accustomed to or had, done the education on for myself,
right.
things just started to fall apart.
Oh wow,
And I kind of really took another look again. I was like, wow, this is everything that I want. This is everything that I prayed about. This is
right,
all of the things
right,
laid out. It couldn't have been any better. But still I was waiting for the other shoe to drop.
mm,
And so I remember having a conversation with him, and he said, listen, I've essentially, he says, everything that you want, I do. Everything that you need, I give you. I just don't know what else to do. And I
right,
think that one phrase, I don't know what else to do. I think when I heard him say that, it did something to me. And it made
right,
me realize it had nothing to do with him at all.
right,
It was me. And so that was for me the defining moment of, again, still not aware of the whole fake healing at this point, but wow, what's really going on? So that's when I really had to do a little bit more, not a little bit more, let me clarify, a whole lot more,
right,
soul searching and digging deep. And so, based off of like, a broken heart and disappointment, going through the grieving process and everything that you go through when you're going through a breakup or trying to heal, I had to really, and that was a little bit more different for me too, because it was a healthy relationship, unlike my two divorces.
hmm,
So you can see that was like a 180 for me. So
hmm,
that grieving process for me was a
right,
lot different. And the hurt was different. The disappointment was different because I really had to acknowledge some things about myself. And so that was probably the catapult of, you know, me saying, okay, you know what? Once I get through this, how do I get through this? How am I going to make it through this? And then once I got through on the other side, I was like, I cannot be the only person who has gone through this. And
oh,
if I can make it through this, I want to be someone who can help others navigate this journey as well. Because
wow,
it's not, I read something some one day and it was really powerful. And
okay,
essentially it said that, emotional wellness is not a destination, it's a journey.
mm,
I was like, wow, which is
yes,
so true. We
yes,
want to get to a place, but you're always on a journey to be emotionally well. And so,
right,
I kept that with me. But that's essentially, how I became, the person that I am and this field and what I do
right.
based on experience, heartbreak, disappointment.
And I would say that experience is the most powerful educational tool is experience. I mean, we can read
Yes,
and not nothing against studying what other people do because I do that often. I study a lot. I read other people that I feel that are in a position or close to a position I want to be in. I study their blueprints, but at the same time, nothing takes the place of experience. And when it comes to, in my perspective, when it comes to coaching or anything around helping people emotionally, mentally. uh, I think that's a very, I think that should be a standard that you
Yeah.
go through things, and everybody does. It's just some people are better
Yeah.
at hiding it, or they just are not I won't even say hiding. I just say not very transparent about it, and that's fine too.
Yeah.
Although I pride myself in being transparent about not being this perfect human being or appear. There's a certain, of course, way that I present myself on this podcast, but at the same time, if you go through my catalog, you will know things about me. Messed
Mhm.
up relationships with my own children, divorce, things like that. So
Right.
I am that way. So there's nothing that I feel like I'm trying to hide. I pride myself on being a work in progress and a masterpiece at the same time. Like I feel like that we are good enough, but at the same time, we're always going to grow and evolve and be on different levels of consciousness, and things that we thought were right at that particular point are not right to us anymore or no longer serve us now. So
Mm.
I have learned not to look back on the things that I've done and beat
Right.
myself up about it, because I was in a different place then. Now, what
Exactly.
can I learn from that, and how can I grow better? And sometimes that means, I might be reaching out there, but that might mean that even certain people don't resonate with you anymore because maybe they're stuck on the old you or whatever.
Absolutely. And
Yeah,
that's okay.
and
And
that's okay.
and you're right. You're absolutely right. And it's called, I love that you said that. I call that wisdom.
Right,
I call that growth. I call that evolving. And those things are so powerful. And how fortunate are we that we have those tools that we can utilize, that we're able to evolve, that we're able to grow, that we can look at our past and not chastise ourselves, but pull the good out of it and learn from it
right,
and say, okay, I did do this, but you know what? Next time, what I'm going to do is this, and I want to do better and want to be better. It's
right,
like people who go, to the gym and they practice basketball and, or they run, a mile in, 20 minutes and they go the next day, they do it in 18 minutes, and they go the next day, they
right,
do it in 16 minutes.
right,
That's, relationships, whether it be with our children, our significant others, our friendships, our
right,
colleagues, every day it's a task to do better if
right.
we if we choose to.
Yeah, and we fall down at times and just have to get back up, and we can't beat ourselves up then. Sometimes we might take a
Exactly.
couple of steps back, but we get up and then we even take three more steps forward this time. But what encourages me also is, I mean, I'm my biggest cheerleader, but at the same time, finding knowing historically stories of great people that we've known as great people that had tainted pasts, you know, like Maya Angelou, for example. She was known, like, what was she known for? Just her prolific words and her elegance. But earlier on, she was a prostitute and things like that. So I mean, and she didn't carry herself in a way that she was like ashamed of herself. She was very powerful, very sure of herself. But look who she became, and just there's countless stories like that about people that were admired throughout history that didn't start out that way. So we're all human, and we're all. I'm not to excuse anything that people
Right.
do that might be, just hurting other people super bad. I don't want to even name them, but I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is we all have areas or where we started that we're no longer, hopefully,
Right.
because I've also witnessed, fortunate enough, I call it being fortunate, because I'm able to observe different parts of the spectrum, people that are still stuck
Mm,
in the same place they were, like they're,
right.
and some people pride themselves on that, and they don't understand, like, wait a minute, you're priding yourself as I don't change, I stay. Wow. But the more I grow, that just seems very illogical to me, that you don't change.
Right. but it shows you the mindset,
The
right,
mindset.
of where they
Right.
are.
Right.
And sometimes when you're dealing with people like that, what I've learned from myself is that I'm not going to argue with them, those type of people,
Exactly.
because no matter what you say, if there's no growth, they're not going to be open-minded. They're not going to be able to hear anything that you're saying because they are stuck, wherever they are, and they're okay with it. And
Right.
so, whenever you decide to move forward, then sometimes, people, those are the people who want to point the finger at you
Right.
because they're standing still.
Right.
Well, yeah. So no, that's definitely again, even kind of going back to, relationships, we see that too. If you have two people who are together and one person is ready to say, hey, our marriage is falling apart, maybe we should go get counseling. And the other person says, well, I don't need counseling.
Right. Right. We all
So
do.
we
And
all
and
do.
and, and I've gotten to a point, and I will I will, for contrast, I mean, for just context, I'll say that if I'm with a partner, and even if I think that I'm, in my mind, that I'm on point, I'm still going to go, because if this person is concerned enough to, want to do this, then why wouldn't I be a part of that? I might find out some more things
Yeah.
about her or about myself that I didn't know, because we can be still, even within our growth journey, we can still be blind to things. We're not all seeing, so yes, I think that's great.
And I
Uh,
think it's encouraging to the partner. If you say, you know
right.
what, let's
Let's
go.
let's
We
do
never
it.
know what that does internally to that other person because it
Yes.
may change something in them. And they're like, wow, my
Right.
partner does want better for us. And then who knows what changes that can make in them. So we don't know.
Yes.
Again, I always, I tell myself this and I share with people and I have conversations and we talk about being in relationships. And I say, the person that you lay down with and that you wake up with in the morning, you have to be very, very mindful about the very first thing you say to them in the morning because you have to be intentional on how you start your day. Do
Wow.
you want to wake up and start complaining about the dishes that they left in the sink? And that's how you start their day? Or good morning, how did you sleep?
Wow.
We have choices, even in something as simple as waking up in the morning, what comes out of your mouth and how we approach that person that we love,
Right.
and the person that's our partner, just being very mindful of things like that.
Oh, I have to say something too. That reminds
Yes.
me. That reminds me also that, we have to, whatever you put into a relationship, that's what you're going to get out of it. So
Yeah.
while we're busy focusing on the other person and their flaws and what they're doing, what are we putting into the relationship? Are we putting things that's going to help the situation or make it worse or add more coal to the fire? So yes, I'm
Right.
glad we had this talk. Yeah, so just a quick, not to cut you off, but we
No,
have
you're
about 10 more
fine.
minutes left. And
Sure.
so what do you work on mostly with your clients? What are your ideal clients? And give us a little, just a small insight on how you go about it.
So my target audience, now I work, I'll say target, my
Okay.
target clients are ones who have gone through heartbreak,
Okay.
divorce,
I think you
and
said that, but yes. Okay.
uh-huh. And they, and they get to a place where they've gone through it, but whether they've accepted it, they're still going through the grieving process and they're having a really hard time moving forward. Like they become stagnant and they're just sitting there. They want to, they don't know how to do it. And their heart is there, but it's just how do I do this? If they've been married for 15 years, if they've been in a relationship for 4 or 5 years, if that, because I've never heard anyone say, I'm going to get married so I can get divorced. I've not ever heard anyone say that.
You and I
So,
both, I think that would be a rare thing if we found
right.
somebody that says that, because I don't think anyone wants to purposely go through that mess.
Exactly,
And I'm calling it
exactly.
what it is. Yeah.
Exactly. And so once people get to that point, there's a lot of disappointment. The healing process is different for everyone. The grieving process is different for everyone. Some people have, there's shame there for some people. There's, all of those things that go with that. And so trying to come out of that hole of life, life that still goes on around you, because that's a hard thing to deal with as well. If you have friends and family and their life is still going on, but you're like in this hole and you're looking around like, what about me? Like, do you see that my life is crumbling and everything is still happening? And so that's where I come in and I am able to help those clients, to kind of get a grip on, okay, what's the next step? What do you want to do? And then we create, a goal, we create some plans to help them move forward and to achieve that journey, if you will, not destination, but that journey to emotional wellness. Because again, this is going to be every single day, that we're putting the work in.
That's amazing. And thank you for clarifying that.
Absolutely.
Wow. Yes. So I think you already said your website, but if you can say it again, how can people find you if they're seeking your services? They just want to, consult with you or just look you up. How would they go about doing that? Website, links?
Sure.
Yes.
So my website is going to be, I'm going to say it slow because it's a bit long, but it's TG, the letter T, the letter G, emotional wellness dot my dot canva dot site. So TG emotional wellness dot my dot canva dot site. Now for those
Canva?
CANVA, Canva.
Canva. Yes.
Canva.
Okay.
And I also have social media.
Okay.
My IG is empowering your emotions. So if they're on IG, they can go there. They'll find me there. On Facebook, it's going to be again TG Emotional Wellness dash Coaching. So they can look for me there.
Okay. And of course, those links will be incorporated in the description of this segment once it's edited and uploaded as well. I believe that you've sent me those links,
Okay, yes,
and
absolutely.
and yes, they will be in there so that people can go to the description of this segment and click right on that and get right to you. That's
Wonderful.
amazing. So thank you very much. I very thoroughly enjoyed speaking with you. But before we conclude it, we have about 5 more minutes. Is there anything that you're working on? I know you're working on a lot. If you're like me, we're working every day. But is there anything that you would like to highlight, or any last words that you would like to share, or just anything?
Oh, wow. You know what? What can I do in 4 minutes and 28 seconds? Not just kidding. Um, you know what? So one of the things, one of the takeaways that I would like for anyone who's listening to this is to really just find a place for themselves as they're going through a grieving process. Number one, to go through the grieving process. That was a big mistake that I made.
Right.
People don't want to deal with, I call it the microwave society where we want to hurry up and get through things. But going through that grieving process is really important because it allows us to sit in whatever we need to sit in. And that is part of the healing. And if we're able to go through those stages and they're not comfortable by any means, that does make a huge difference on the other end of the healing process. I think that's really, really important. And it can actually start part of the true healing. So, that's a big takeaway. It's a lot of work every single day, but it's worth it. Just the beginning of part of that healing journey.
Wow, well orchestrated. Thank you very much for sharing that with us. And yes,
Absolutely.
again, I thoroughly enjoyed listening to you and engaging with you, Tina. Thank you very much again. And I hope everyone enjoyed listening and they're watching as much as I have. And I'm sure you will. I'm sure you have or are. Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. Enlightened, Empowered, Evolved. Be sure to hit that subscribe button on YouTube or wherever you are, that like button, leave comments, questions, click the links in the description, and find Tina. Get some healing going on.
I'm
Go through
here.
that process. We all have processes that we need to
Yes,
go
we
through.
do.
Yes, yes. So that's
And
amazing.
it is a safe place. That's another thing, a very safe place. That's important for them to know as well.
Right. Yes, yes. And yes, yes, amazing. So much more I would like to add to that, but no, I think I'll leave it at that. So amazing. Thank you, everyone. Enlighten, Empowered, Evolve. Love and appreciation to everyone. Thank you very much. See you next
Thank
time.
you. Bye, everyone.